first off, thank you again for waiting for me a little bit there. I talked to your coach. I've been speaking with her for um for a good while, honestly, a really good while, probably over a year now. And she always mentions like runners um that kind of reach out or kind of I don't want to say go above and beyond, but yeah, go above and beyond a bit. And your name has come up. She really praises you a lot. And I always think that's kind of like really unique and really kind of says a lot about you and your character and like who you are. Um, but obviously, like pretty much everybody probably knows you as a runner. Um, what are some things like outside of running that you are into?
Outside of running, I really like to write and read, and I focus a lot on school because, like, I just am very excited for my future and um, getting into college and stuff like that.
No, that's cool. And you know, this conversation's totally free living. Don't mind if any any messes up. I mess up quite a bit, especially at the beginning. I actually interviewed Avery as
Hmm.
my like first interview, and that interview, it's funny because I always look back. It's like that was like one of the shortest interviews I did, and it
Hmm.
was the first one. So it's like I always like, um, you look back on it, it's like, dang, I could have talked longer for here. We could have done this and that, and it's kind of funny. But um, yeah, so no worries. How'd you get
Sorry.
started in running? Like, I think everybody always has like a really unique story of how they kind of start out. What was yours?
So my mom actually always ran, and I always looked up to her and wanted to run with her. So we definitely did like a bunch of 5Ks when I was little, and so I would always tell people that I want to do cross country. And so by the time I got to high school, like there was no thought about it. I just wanted to do cross country.
That is a first. I feel like so many people like switch from like soccer or something or like they just like they're but that's so cool. Like I you just don't hear that often of people being like, I just wanted to do cross country. Like because it's not really like one of those sports that like I feel like
Mhm.
you have to like beg somebody to do it. Like, please join me because I don't want to do it alone or something but that's really cool. That's really interesting that you say that. Um I want to talk about like as we kind of dive into cross country. I want to talk about last season.
Okay.
Um, but before we talk about last season too, you have a PR of 2040 from 2023. Um, I always tell people like, hey, that's you are a 20-minute 5K runner. Like you ran it. It's not a fluke. Like you did it. Um, and then your coach, mentioned to me, being injured
Mhm.
quite a bit here this last season. Um, yeah, walk me through that. Like what kind of happened there?
So, I ran my entire freshman cross country season and then the first half of my freshman track season. But the entire time I was struggling with like growth plates and like growth plate pain in my hips. And so by the time I got to track season, my coach like decided I should probably stop. And so then I was unable to start again for the entire cross country season. So I missed my entire sophomore cross country season and then came back for track in this past year.
And being injured obviously sucks. But also I think it kind of gives you a little bit. I don't want to say an edge, but I mean it definitely makes you mentally tough to kind of bounce through some of that stuff. Um, and I know I keep bringing Coach Sands into this, um, but she praises your leadership and like do you feel, especially now because you are going into your junior year, so some of those younger girls are really probably looking at you. I remember running in seventh grade, and like you always kind of look at those upperclassmen as like kind of paving the way and leading the way. Do you feel like that's a role that you are kind of stepping into, especially being injured? You kind of on the sideline a little bit, so you kind of see everything and everybody.
Mhm.
Um, is that a role like that you're taking into account this junior season?
I definitely am trying to fill that role. My two team captains just graduated, and they both were like huge parts in getting me through the struggle with my injury and not being able to run. And so I definitely want to like fill their shoes and just be that person for the new underclassmen that are coming up because they're the future of our team.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that always gets kind of overlooked is the future. I think so many times we just kind of like are narrowed into who we have on the team now currently, and you don't quite look down the road a bit. And that's where you get teams that are just like finish high one year and then they completely are gone the next. Um, and I love how you mentioned that too, because your team is stacked. Like your team is really good. Um, is that something you kind of like? Do you notice that there is? I don't want to say a stigma, but like, is there an expectation to run well, like to do the right thing, to show up to practice and like that? Is there kind of that feeling when you join the team like this is the standard that we've set for this team?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think that like with how well our team does and like just how fast everyone has gotten over the past couple years, like showing up is the expectation and it is honestly like especially now in the summer practices, the summer training, like if you show up, you're like putting in the hard work and that's really just what makes us better as a team and as individuals and I think that's very important.
Yeah, so summer training, I love you mentioned that. I hate the word assume, but I'm assuming you're like ready to go, like you are training right now, not injured.
Mm-mm.
No. So how's that summer training going?
Honestly, I think it's been going well. It's been great to like get to know a lot of the new girls and even just get closer with some of our old teammates, but it's also great to see like compare our like times and speed and mileage to this time last year and just realize how much we've improved as a team.
Yeah, and that I asked you that because, like I said, it kind of goes back to that leadership role, especially when you get those younger girls, to kind of see, the standard that is there. Um, Now you ran your first year was ninth grade, correct?
Mhm.
Did you have any like running experience like prior to the ninth grade, or
Um,
was it like was like or freshman year was like that was it? Like any local 5Ks or anything like that?
I definitely did like a local 5K here and there, but I never trained. It was really just like a one-off, like every couple of years I would just do one, but I
Yeah.
definitely didn't have like prior training.
And so I think it's so interesting in digging into like this team dynamic, um, because you get there and you run so well, like right off the cusp. Um, and again, injuries obviously, you know, can keep you out. Um, but that standard, I think even for yourself, like, do you have a kind of high expectations for yourself, especially going into this year because you did so well that freshman year? Um, yeah,
I definitely do think that like I'm setting like my standards high. Like I definitely have some goals for this season, but then also I'm just a very competitive person, so I definitely think that's like a major reason why my first season went so well was just like seeing the people in front of me and just having to go after them.
yeah. Um, and I know, like, I mean, maybe you can't answer this question. Um, like, do you have any favorite courses that you remember at least freshman year? I mean, I feel like you would kind of remember some of those.
I think my favorite would probably be the Woodmont course. That's a very fast course and it's also my PR course, but yeah, I really liked that one. I won the JV um meet by a whole minute. So that was definitely like whoa, like it was very new to me and I was like very excited in that moment. But I also really enjoyed the Newberry course. Um I know
That's
like
a
a lot
first.
yeah, I was gonna say I know a lot of people aren't gonna agree with that, but I did like that course a lot.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah, it's funny. It seems like everybody. I don't even know if it's split down the middle, because it feels like I ask people, and like I'll get three or four responses like Newberry is a good one, and then I'll get like another four or five that like they just hate Newberry with a passion. Um, and hey, my first race that I ever won, actually, I think I only won like one race, um, cross country wise, was a JV mate, was a JV race. So kudos to you. Like, don't ever like downgrade that thing. You won a race. So how is that feeling? Like, I can explain it from like a little bit of like, because I feel like track's a little different. Um, because I feel like, I mean, there's a crowd obviously around you 24/7 on that. But like, how is that like when you cross the line? Is that just like a, oh my gosh, I just won this race? Like, or
Oh,
or was it just like, whatever?
I remember that race like very well because I remember when I was running it and I ran past my coach and my team captain and they told me my first mile split and I was like like I was shocked because I didn't realize I had that in me and I didn't know I would be able to hold that for the next 2 miles. And then when I crossed that line, I remember I like fell and my coach caught me and she was like hugging me and like just that like surreal moment of like because on Woodmont it ends on the track so everyone's there and like I remember seeing my parents and just being like so excited in that moment.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. Like I said, I remember winning, and I was actually running with my teammate, and I think I dropped him at like 2 miles, um and friendly love there. But yeah, when you cross the line, you get first. It's just like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like this is the coolest thing ever. Um, and like leading races too is kind of in general, I think it's just cool because you have like all these people behind you, like literally chasing after you in a way. If you think about it. Um, so you look at like I know obviously again, the 24 season was I hate to say a bust because he got hurt. It's not on you. Um, but like you do look at like 24 season and you look at the 23 season. Um, what do you think you kind of like learned throughout the whole process of that? Obviously an injured season, you can take a lot of mental toughness in that, and then having a season under your belt, freshman, let alone. Um, like yeah, like what do you think you kind of learned from all this?
I definitely think that I learned to like not give up because there were a lot of moments in that 24 season where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't just watch my teammates continue to get better while I'm sitting here unable to. Um, but then I had to realize like, I mean, obviously I was very happy for them, but I had to remember that like this was what I've wanted since I was like 6 years old. Like I've always wanted to run, so I can't give up now. And like I know, like I'll make my comeback. I'll be able to come back, and I'm very glad I didn't quit. So I definitely think like not giving up was a huge lesson, and that I'm gonna like hold on to for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think that can be a little. I want to say it could be tough. It could be tough to like watch the team do so well without you, but at the same time too, it's like it's so exciting that like they're doing so well, and again the growth of the whole team. Um, but no, that it kind of speaks a lot about you just being because most people, I mean, as runners, I can't tell you how many times I've gone through like, yay, oh my god, I hate the sport, yay, I just want to quit now. Like, there's so many ups and downs in a person's career. It really speaks a lot, like being able to continue the grind and continue the vision, because obviously there's the vision forward, and we're gonna get into that. Um, Track season comes around, and 5:38 for the 16, um, 2:28 for the 8, and then you only ran the 2 mile one time,
Yeah.
13:26. Why is that? You hate
Ooh.
distance?
So, um, yeah, the 32 is not my favorite event, and I ran it once, and it was a pretty poor race. So yeah, that time
Let's
isn't
not talk about that.
great. But yeah, right. Um, but also I really enjoy the eight. I think that's my favorite. So I kind of started to focus more on that, especially as like the season went on. But
Yeah, you hear from like a lot of cross people, the 8 seems to be too fast, and the 2 mile, everybody, I don't know, they just hate it. I love the 2 mile. Um, but then everybody kind of gravitate towards more like the 16, because even that is pretty fast itself, but there's just different tactics in that versus the 8. when you choose an event like the 800 versus like the others, is that just something you feel more confident in? Like that's just the your event that you feel like you can just race better, or
I would
like where
honestly
do you
say
pick that?
it's more mental for me when it comes to that because in the 800, I don't have time to think.
Yeah, really.
Like in
Hmm.
1600 and the 3200, I feel like I'm just thinking the whole time. And so running the 800 is just like I do 2 laps and then I can think. Like I feel like I just get through it so obviously so much faster, but like it's just a lot easier to like push through that and like instead of getting in my head halfway through.
Yeah, that is so true. You really don't have time to think. I think that's one of the unique kind of aspects of the eight, but I think even the 16 too. I talk to people all the time, and it's like you have to make a split second decision if you're gonna go or you're gonna hold back, or like you're not gonna kick here, you're waiting. And you're kind of just waiting on like oddly enough, you're just waiting on what other people are doing,
Hmm.
not what you want to do. I think the 800, I guess you kind of can have more of a game plan for yourself in a way, because it is so short. But then again, like if they go, then you almost have to go with them too. 228 for the eight is really solid coming off of an injury season. Um, do you think? Do you think that was kind of about it, like for this year, or did you think you like there was maybe one more race you could have had that kind of pushed a little bit lower?
I think if I had another race, I could probably push it a little bit more, especially because I felt like the entire season or the first half of the season, I was like hitting a wall. And then when I finally broke that wall, I was just cutting time in all my events. And so I like definitely feel like if I had maybe another race, I could have cut it down a bit more, but probably not by too much.
Yeah, I mean, then that's the thing with the eight too. It's so tricky when it comes to time. But that's why I say like, and that's why I go back to this question of just like lessons learned. Because I think especially when you race, I think you can even with a PR. I tell people all the time, it's a PR, but I think you can still learn something from it to get better at it. That race you did that, like, do you see anything like what do you kind of see as like what worked and what things you need to kind of improve on?
Well, that race, I was seated 12th and I was in the fast heat. And I remember, the girl who won was on my team. So, and we had been practicing in workouts together. So my thought was just chase her down like I do in the workouts. So that's what I did for like the first lap and a half before she outkicked me. But, I definitely feel like what I could have done was started out a little bit slower so I could hold that pace a bit more and then been able to have more of a kick at the end.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny because like you always like kind of look back now and say like what could I have done? Um, I look now like 10 years later from like a PR in the 5K. I was like, well, I ran a PR in the 5K, but it's like what could I have done that race to make a difference? Um, it's funny. Uh, but the 2 mile, like, do you think you're ever gonna give it a shot one more, or is that just like like we're never doing the 2 mile, we're just gonna focus on the 8 and the 16?
I'll probably try it again, especially once I'm like actually coming off of cross country season and not coming off of like an entire season of nothing. Because I think
Yeah.
maybe having more miles on my legs like will definitely benefit. But yeah, I'll probably try it again. But I don't think I'll like focus on it or anything.
Yeah, and no, but it's such a cool thing too because it's unique that like you don't really see cross country runners having that kind of speed. Like, do you feel like you have a good kick at the end of races?
Actually, I want to say I don't. I really,
Really?
I'm not like, it's so weird. I'm not very fast or like very good at distance. I kind of just have to find that like medium and like stick to it.
Yeah, no, I, I always thought I had like a decent kick in high school, and then everyone would tell me like, uh, dude, you suck. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I think I beat out one kid like one race ever in a kick, and It's crazy. I remember a quick story. I've actually never told the story on the podcast. Um, I was it was a race. It was like October, and I had two of my teammates that were kind of like up with me um, in fitness level, and I think I was like fifth overall in the race, and it was probably like the last like 300 meters, and it ended on a track, and I just got destroyed by like four or five guys. I ended up getting like
Oh.
ninth or tenth. I know, and I'm like, and two of them were my teammates, and I'm like, wow, dude, I suck at kicking. Like this is terrible. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I always thought I had a decent kick. It turns out I was terrible. But I always look at like 800 people, like they seem to be able to kind of like translate it over to the cross country course, at least at that ending, fairly well. Um, but yeah, so we get into like obviously summer training here. We're getting ready for cross country 25. Um, it's kind of, I mean, you can kind of take from track a bit as like what you ran in track and kind of like convert it a bit to cross
Mhm.
country because obviously having like no cross country in 24 is kind of hard to like. What
Mhm.
are the goals? Um, I guess do you have anything in mind? I mean, 20 you run a 20-minute 5K. It seems to kind of be a no brainer, but is I would assume maybe even something lower. But what's kind of going through your mind?
I mean, I think as like a base goal, I would definitely say like sub 20, but like I think my actual like hard to reach goal would be closer to like 1930 probably. Like I'd like to cut it down a lot more than it currently is. But
Oh no, heck yeah. No, reach for the stars, man. We throw out times all the time around here. I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like he's like a 15 like 20 guy and it's just like it's hard to say. Like you want to say the time like
mhm.
sub 15, like you want to say it but you want to like say it, out loud. No, say it. Let's go for it. Let's go 1859. Like come on now. Um yeah, no, I think yeah, again, I didn't want to say it. You said it first though. Sub 20. Sub 20 for sure. Um, I think when you look at like the 5K or when you look at like the 800 and the mile time, like 530s, you should be low 19s. I try and think back of just girls that I know and I've met. Like you should, I can for some reason 1912 sticks in my head. Like you should be low. And then granted, you have a good summer. It takes one summer to to really put it all together. And it takes one race to really put it together. Let's just shoot for 1859. Um, the summer training, how do you think that's been going so far? How many weeks have you been training so far?
Well, we started, I think, right at the end of May, like last week of May. So just a little over a month now. I think it's been going great, like feeling good, not feeling injured or anything. But I don't know, I definitely think like the work we're putting in now is really gonna like come back to help us and we're gonna see like such an improvement like when we start this new season. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and do you see yourself in that kind of shape yet? Like you were when you were running like 21s and 20-minute 5Ks? Or we're just not quite there yet? Like obviously speed is probably not there. Probably not. Maybe it is. I don't know. Because obviously this like you kind of focus more on like base training typically in the summer. With throwing maybe a little tempo here and there, but like have you seen some of that like indication that you're in some decent shape right now?
I mean, I definitely think I'm like getting there. Probably not there yet, but like, I feel a lot stronger and a lot like faster when it comes to just like easy runs and like my base level runs are a lot faster now than they were. But I think a lot of that stems from track and just like, coming getting used to like the mileage. So right now, I'm just trying to build up mileage wise before we focus on any 5Ks, but no, I think it's gonna be a good season.
Yeah, the season is so long too. It's like
Hmm.
um, I love telling people. I mean, I tell people all the time, like in I I speak on a 2 mile because that's my thing. But I say like nobody's winning the 2 mile in the first 100, 200 meters. Like you got a long way to go, and you can translate that to right now. It's like it's July. Like we got a long way to go to get in the season. Um, I think also too, like, is the expectation to be on varsity, like full time, top seven, one of the girls?
Oh, that's definitely my goal. My freshman year, I was top JV just because our varsity team was so like stacked, but uh,
Yeah,
now I mean, I ran varsity for track. The goal is definitely like top seven, maybe even top five, like scoring for my team would definitely be the goal this year.
yeah, and I think if I mean if you're running if again we're speaking it into existence here, but if you run 18:59 and you're not on varsity, like holy crap, like that, like there we go. There's something really there. Um, and then again, like I look at like rankings in general. You guys are pretty much the number one team, especially in your class or your division this year, returning. Um, do you like as I guess as a team, do you guys talk about rankings at all? Um, or not really? Like, do you notice? Like, do you research anything at all? Like, do you know how? I mean, I think you kind of know. Obviously, your teams are really, really good, but do you know like how good like compared to everybody else?
I mean, we definitely like keep an eye on those rankings, especially as we get closer to like state qualifiers and state. But yeah, we definitely like watch those rankings, like keep an eye on them, make sure that like we're cutting down our times as we need to be. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that we do research them and like focus on those a lot.
Yeah, I think the rankings are always so it's interesting. It puts an interesting edge on some things. Um, but I also think it like unless you like really deep like go deep into it, it can also kind of like skew some things because I think there's some like if you just look at like best PRs from the season or season best or whatever, like you could tell different stories. Like you could think a team is this good and really it's like no, they're this good. Um, but I always find it interesting because I think rankings do play such like a role and kind of like the mindset of things of like where you're at and like where you kind of stack up against other girls and whatnot. You know, when you kind of take everything into account, your running career so far, um, I think it's just begun in a way. I think it's like although like yeah, 2 years under your belt is quite a bit of time. Like obviously again, you becoming an upperclassman. Um, but I feel like it really just started in a weird way because of missing that season and then having such a strong track season. Do you feel like that? Like, do you feel like it's almost kind of like a second coming in a way, like of just like starting over in a weird sense, even though like you've obviously been doing this a while?
I really do. Just because it has been such a long time since I've done a cross country race, like it just feels like I'm starting over and like this is gonna basically my first season all over again. But
Yeah, it, it's such a unique it's such a unique like thing to go through because not many I mean again not many people go through missing a whole cross country season in general like that. So I think it's really cool. I'm telling you, like you hear me, I'm a huge supporter already of you. 1859 is what we're looking at this year. I'd love to have you back on during the season to just talk about how things are going. I mean, obviously high expectations. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. I'm sure everybody's gonna be happy no matter what time is gonna come in. And like I said, it's such a long season too, and you just never know what you're going to run. It takes one race. But I appreciate you coming on and getting your perspective on things. I think, again, your coach speaks so highly of you, and I can see why. And um, obviously, a drive to get better and to get stronger and to run. Like I said, I've talked to so many student athletes so far, um, and everybody kind of has their unique story of like how they joined and how they started and how their careers going. But you again, like, and you saw how excited I was. Like you said, like you just wanted to run cross country. I've never heard somebody say that um, in a long time. And I think like people like you, kind of like having that excitement, like that is what brings the sport like up. Not anybody else, not me promoting it. Like kids like you, student athletes like you, who are just excited about the sport. It's cool to see and cool to have you on. So, like I said, I'd love to have you back on in the season, and we'll see kind of how everything goes.
Okay, yeah, sounds
All
good.
right, sweet. Thank you.